The Christmasaurus by Tom Fletcher. Chapter 24. Flight at the Museum. Bang! A bullet suddenly whizzed past, millimetres away from William and the Christmasaurus. It smashed the street light behind them, sending shards of glass showering down on the street below. "That was a warning shot," screeched a villainous voice from somewhere at the far end of the street. "Now, wheel yourself away from that dinosaur, you little lump of pointlessness, unless you want to join him on my wall. I'm sure I can make room for a little head like yours." William had no idea what to do. His heart was beating all different sorts of heartwheels. His brain was racing 1,000,000 miles an hour. The vision he'd had earlier of the best Christmas ever definitely didn't involve a maniac with a gun. He thought fast, then pushed Stuffy back into the wrapping paper, shoved it under the seat of his wheelchair, looped the fairy lights around the dinosaur's head, and screamed, "Run!" The Christmasaurus burst into action instantly. He may have been pulling a boy in a wheelchair and a stuffed dinosaur, but he was still fast. "Stop! Stop! Stop!" cried the hunter as he saw his prize racing away. Gunshots suddenly cut through the air. Bang! Bang! Slicing snowflakes clean in half, but they missed the Christmasaurus and William. They were too fast. "Growler, fetch!" the hunter commanded, and his trusty companion zoomed down the street after them. "Faster, Christmasaurus, faster!" William cried, holding on for dear life. Ducking and dodging the hunter's shots, crouching low in his chair, William couldn't see where the Christmasaurus was going. He could only feel him twisting and turning as he dashed between parked cars and whizzed along the street at the side of the museum. The street at the side of the museum! William suddenly had an awful realization. "It's a dead end!" he screamed as the Christmasaurus dug his claws into the snow and skidded to a halt, stopping just before they slammed into a brick wall. They were trapped. They waited, trembling, at the end of the long, straight, dead-end street. The large museum towered over them on one side, and a row of locked offices loomed on the other. The only way out was the way they'd entered, and Growler was just prowling around the corner, baring his sharp, hungry teeth, cutting off their only chance of escape. A few moments later, the hunter caught up. He appeared in the distance with his rifle raised and aimed it at the Christmasaurus and William. "Good dog, Growler," he said, and he dropped him a scrap of raw meat from his pocket as a reward. "Game over, little boy. You're trapped. Ha! You'll have to fly to get out of this one." William suddenly caught the Christmasaurus' eye and saw that there was a twinkle in it that there hadn't been seen. William caught the Christmasaurus' eye and saw that there was a twinkle in it that he hadn't seen before, as if he had changed somehow. The Christmasaurus looked back at William, and William knew exactly what he was thinking. "That's it," he whispered. "You have to fly." William heard his father's voice in his head. "Believing is seeing," Mr. Trundle had explained. He looked the Christmasaurus square in the eyes. "I know you can do it," he said. "I never would have believed that a dinosaur existed, but here you are. I never would have believed that a real dinosaur would be my friend, but here you are. There are so many things that I never would have believed before tonight, so many seemingly impossible things that might just actually be possible. You just need to believe." "Well, guess what, Christmasaurus? I believe that you can fly," said William, completely honest. "I believe in you." As those words left his lips, something incredible happened. All the fairy lights that were wrapped around the Christmasaurus and William's wheelchair lit up. They glowed brighter and stronger than William had ever seen. The Christmasaurus felt it soon. Something had changed in him as he stood wrapped in the glow of 100 twinkly lights. He knew he could do it. He didn't just want to fly, he believed he could fly. The Christmasaurus suddenly burst into the fastest run he'd ever managed, before pulling William behind him with gleaming rains of dazzling fairy lights, and headed straight for the hunter. "What the devil?" spat the hunter. "Stop this instant!" But they didn't stop. They kept going faster and faster. "I'm going to count to 3, and then it's over for you and your dinosaur, boy," the hunter called out. But the Christmasaurus didn't slow down. "1," he shouted. The Christmasaurus gained speed. "You can do it," cried William. 2, the hunter screamed, tightening his grip on his rifle. The Christmasaurus took longer strides, getting a little higher with each step. 3, yelled the hunter, and he closed one eye and aimed down the sight of the rifle, just in time to see the Christmasaurus take one final, giant, almighty leap into the air. He was flying. The Christmasaurus was flying. The hunter and his dog were standing directly under the flight path of the flying dinosaur as he pulled William's chair into the air behind him. They dived for cover, William's wheels skipping the tip of the peacock feather on the hunter's hat, the hunter dropping his rifle in shock. Flying dinosaur, the hunter stuttered in amazement as he watched the Christmasaurus and William soar high into the air, whizzing along the street. A flying dinosaur! I must have its head! He howled like a madman into the sky. William grabbed hold of the luminous reins and steered the flying Christmasaurus up and around the grand exterior of the museum. From the air, the building looked even more amazing. In fact, everything suddenly looked more amazing. The snowy streets of Williamstown, the clock tower in the distance, the white rooftops, it all looked magical all of a sudden. But then William realised the most magical sight of all was directly in front of him, pulling his wheelchair like a sleigh across the Christmas sky. A flying dinosaur.